The text message glowed on Ellie's phone at 2:17 a.m. "I'm back in town. Can we talk?" 5 words from James that shattered the careful peace she'd built over 8 years of raising their daughter alone. 5 words that threatened everything, and promised what her heart had secretly longed for despite her better judgment. Ellie Morgan stared at her phone, the blue light illuminating her face in the darkness of her bedroom. Her daughter Lily slept peacefully down the hall, blissfully unaware that her father, a man she knew only from photographs and carefully edited stories, had suddenly reappeared in their lives. 8 years ago, James Walker had walked away from his pregnant girlfriend, overwhelmed by the prospect of fatherhood at 23. "I can't do this," he'd said, his voice breaking. "I'm not ready." And then he was gone, leaving Ellie to navigate pregnancy, childbirth, and motherhood entirely on her own. She'd managed. More than managed, she'd thrived. At 31, Ellie had built a successful freelance graphic design business that allowed her to work from home and be present for Lily. Their modest 2-bedroom apartment in Portland was filled with laughter, art projects, and the occasional chaos of a household run by a single mother with a precocious 7-year-old daughter. But now James wanted to talk. Ellie's thumb hovered over the keyboard. She could ignore him. She should ignore him. Yet something, curiosity, unresolved feelings, or perhaps the memory of Lily asking about her father just last week, made her type, "Coffee. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. at Riverside Cafe. Just talking." Sleep eluded her for the rest of the night. The morning brought no clarity. Ellie dropped Lily off at school, her daughter chattering excitedly about the science project they were starting that day. Watching her skip into the building, Ellie felt a familiar surge of fierce protectiveness. Whatever James wanted, she wouldn't let him hurt Lily. Riverside Cafe sat nestled along the Willamette River, a cozy spot where Ellie often worked when she needed a change of scenery. She arrived 15 minutes early, claiming a corner table with a view of the entrance. Her hands wrapped around a mug of black coffee, seeking warmth despite the mild spring day. When James walked in, Ellie's breath caught. He looked both exactly the same and completely different. The same dark hair and warm brown eyes, the same slight crook to his smile. But there was something more solid about him now, a steadiness that hadn't been there before. "Ellie," he said, his voice soft as he approached the table. "Thank you for meeting me." She nodded, not trusting herself to speak immediately. He ordered coffee and sat across from her, his eyes never leaving her face. "You look good," he offered. "Really good." "What do you want, James?" The words came out sharper than she'd intended. He flinched slightly but nodded as if he'd expected this. "I deserve that. I deserve a lot worse, actually." He took a deep breath. "I'm back in Portland for good. I've taken a position at the university teaching architecture." "Congratulations," Ellie said flatly. "But that doesn't explain why you're contacting me after 8 years of silence." James looked down at his hands. "I want to meet my daughter, Ellie. I want to be part of her life." The words hung between them, heavy with implication. Ellie felt anger rise in her chest, hot and familiar. "You lost that right when you walked away from a pregnant 22-year-old who loved you," she said, keeping her voice low despite her fury. "You don't get to decide 8 years later that fatherhood might be fun after all." "I know," he said, surprising her with his immediate agreement. "I know I have no right to ask this of you. But I'm asking anyway." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn photograph. "I've carried this with me for years." Ellie recognized it immediately, the sonogram from her 20-week appointment. She'd given him a copy, watching his face for any sign of joy or connection. There had been none then. "I was terrified," James continued. "I was selfish and immature and completely unprepared. But not a day has gone by that I haven't thought about you both, wondered who she became, hated myself for missing it." "So this is about alleviating your guilt?" Ellie asked. No, he said firmly. This is about trying to be the man I should have been 8 years ago. I've spent years in therapy working through my own childhood trauma, my fear of fatherhood, my tendency to run when things get hard. He paused. I'm not asking to disrupt your lives. I'm asking for a chance to know my daughter, on whatever terms you set. Ellie studied him, looking for signs of the flighty, self-centered young man she'd once loved. Instead, she saw someone humbled, someone who had clearly done the work he was claiming. Her name is Lily, Ellie said finally. She's 7, brilliant at math, terrible at keeping her room clean, and she has your eyes. James's smile was immediate and genuine, his eyes suddenly bright with unshed tears. Lily, he repeated softly. It's beautiful. She's asked about you, Ellie admitted. More lately. I've never spoken badly of you to her. I've just said that you weren't ready to be a dad when she was born. Thank you for that kindness, James said. I didn't deserve it. It wasn't for you, Ellie clarified. It was for her. I never wanted her to feel unwanted or abandoned. James nodded, understanding. What happens now? He asked. Ellie took a deep breath. I need time to think. This isn't just about you and me anymore. It's about what's best for Lily. Of course, James agreed immediately. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere this time. As they parted ways outside the cafe, Ellie felt strangely unsettled. She'd spent years imagining this confrontation, rehearsing all the things she would say, all the hurt and anger she would express. But the reality had been different. James had changed, or at least seemed to have. And now she had a decision to make that would affect not just her life, but Lily's as well. That evening, after Lily was tucked into bed with her favorite stuffed elephant, Ellie called her best friend, Maya. He's back? After all this time? Maya's disbelief echoed Ellie's own feelings. And he wants to meet Lily? Oh, hell no. That was my first reaction too, Ellie admitted, curling up on her couch with a glass of wine. But Maya, he seemed different. More mature. People don't change that much, Maya warned. Remember how devastated you were? How you cried for weeks? How you had to move back in with your parents until Lily was 6 months old because you couldn't manage alone? I remember, Ellie said quietly. I remember all of it. Then why are you even considering this? Ellie sighed, looking at the framed photo of Lily on her bookshelf. Because last week Lily asked me if her daddy didn't love her enough to stay. And I didn't know what to tell her. Maya was silent for a moment. Oh, sweetie. She deserves to know him, Maya. Even if it's just to understand that him leaving wasn't about her. It was never about her. And what about you? Maya asked gently. Are you ready to have him back in your life? Because if he's in Lily's life, he's in yours too. It was the question Ellie had been avoiding. Was she ready to face James regularly? To co-parent with the man who had broken her heart? To watch him build a relationship with their daughter while keeping her own emotions firmly in check? I don't know, she admitted. But I think I have to try, for Lily's sake. 2 weeks later, Ellie sat Lily down for a conversation that would change everything. Honey, do you remember when you asked me about your daddy? She began carefully. Lily nodded, her dark eyes, so like James's, serious and attentive. You said he wasn't ready to be a daddy when I was born. That's right, Ellie confirmed. But sometimes people change as they get older. They learn and grow and become ready for things they weren't ready for before. Lily's brow furrowed in concentration. Like how I wasn't ready for chapter books last year but now I am. Ellie smiled. Something like that, but bigger. Your daddy has come back to Portland, and he's told me that he's changed. He would like to meet you. Lily's eyes widened. My real daddy? The one in the pictures? Yes, sweetheart. His name is James. Will he live with us? Lily asked, her mind racing ahead as it always did. No, honey. He has his own place. But if you want to meet him, and if things go well, he might become part of our lives in a new way. Lily considered this, twisting a strand of her hair around her finger, a habit she'd had since she was a toddler. Do I have to call him Daddy? No, Ellie assured her. You can call him whatever feels right to you. And if you're not ready to meet him yet, that's okay too. This is your decision. Lily was quiet for a long moment, then asked, will you be there too? Of course, Ellie promised. I'll be with you the whole time. Lily nodded decisively. Then I want to meet him. The playground at Washington Park was Lily's favorite place in the city. With its expansive play structures, open fields, and the adjacent rose garden, it offered endless opportunities for exploration. It also provided a neutral, public setting for this momentous first meeting. Ellie watched James approach from across the park, his stride hesitant. He carried a small gift bag in one hand. She'd been clear with him, no extravagant presents, no attempts to buy Lily's affection. Whatever relationship they built would have to be genuine. Lily stood beside her, suddenly shy despite her earlier excitement. She pressed against Ellie's side, half hiding behind her. It's okay to be nervous, Ellie reassured her. He's nervous too. When James reached them, he crouched down to Lily's eye level, keeping a respectful distance. Hello, Lily, he said, his voice gentle. I'm James. I'm very happy to meet you. Lily studied him intently, then looked up at Ellie as if for confirmation. Ellie nodded encouragingly. You have eyes like mine, Lily observed, stepping slightly away from Ellie's protection. James smiled. I was just thinking the same thing. Your mom tells me you're very good at math. Lily nodded, warming to a favorite subject. I'm the best in my class at multiplication. That's impressive, James said sincerely. I use math every day in my job designing buildings. You build houses? Lily asked, her interest piqued. Sometimes houses, sometimes bigger buildings like schools or museums. Would you like to see some pictures? Lily nodded, and James pulled out his phone, showing her photographs of projects he'd worked on. Ellie watched as her daughter gradually relaxed, asking questions and pointing at details in the images. After a few minutes, James offered Lily the small gift bag. I brought something for you, if that's okay. Lily looked to Ellie again, who nodded her permission. Inside the bag was a children's book about architecture and a small sketchbook with colored pencils. Your mom mentioned you like to draw, James explained. I thought maybe we could sketch some buildings together sometime. I mostly draw unicorns, Lily informed him seriously. And sometimes dinosaurs. Those sound much more interesting than buildings, James agreed with a smile. Maybe you could teach me how to draw those. The ice broken, they spent an hour at the playground, with Lily gradually including James in her play, showing him how high she could swing, challenging him to cross the monkey bars, which he attempted with good humor and limited success, and eventually allowing him to push her on the merry-go-round. Ellie maintained a careful distance, close enough to intervene if needed but giving them space to begin forming their own connection. Watching them together was surreal, the similarities in their expressions, the way they both tilted their heads when concentrating, the shared laugh that Ellie hadn't heard in years but instantly recognized. As they were preparing to leave, Lily surprised both adults by asking, "Can we do this again?" James looked to Ellie, letting her take the lead. "If you'd like to, we can arrange another visit," she told Lily. "Next time can we go to the Science Museum?" Lily asked, her initial shyness completely gone. "They have a new dinosaur exhibit." "That sounds perfect," James said, his voice thick with emotion he was clearly trying to control. As they said goodbye, James thanked Ellie quietly. "She's amazing," he said. "You've done an incredible job with her." Yes, I have, Ellie agreed, not out of arrogance but simple acknowledgement of the truth. She had done it all, and done it well. I know I have a lot to prove, James added. To both of you. Ellie nodded. Yes, you do. But today was a good start. Over the next few months, James became a regular presence in their lives. Weekly visits evolved into twice weekly, then 3 times. He attended Lily's school science fair, sitting beside Ellie as they watched their daughter confidently explain her project on plant growth to the judges. He brought Lily to Ellie's office one afternoon when school was cancelled unexpectedly, the two of them arriving with lunch for all 3. Ellie observed the developing relationship with mixed emotions. Joy for Lily, who blossomed under the additional attention and clearly delighted in having her father in her life. Caution for herself, wary of trusting James too quickly despite the consistent evidence that he had indeed changed. And something else, something she wasn't ready to name, a warmth that spread through her chest when she saw James and Lily together, when she caught him looking at their daughter with undisguised love and pride. He's really following through, Maya admitted grudgingly over coffee one morning. I honestly didn't think he would. Neither did I, Ellie confessed. I was prepared for him to flake out after a few weeks, to have to help Lily through another abandonment. But he hasn't missed a single commitment. And how are you handling it? Maya asked, studying her friend's face. Seeing him so often? Ellie sighed. It's complicated. Sometimes I look at him with Lily and I'm so angry about all the years he missed, all the milestones he wasn't there for. Other times? Maya prompted when Ellie trailed off. Other times I see the man he's become, and I wonder what might have been if he'd been ready back then. Or what might be possible now. Maya's eyebrows shot up. Ellie Morgan, are you developing feelings for your ex again? No. Ellie protested, then more honestly, maybe. I don't know. It's confusing. Be careful, Maya warned. For both your sakes, but especially for Lily's. If you and James tried again and it didn't work out. I know, Ellie said. Believe me, I know. That's why I haven't said anything, haven't acted on whatever this is. Lily has to come first. The crisis came 4 months after James's return, on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Ellie was in a client meeting when her phone rang repeatedly. Seeing it was Lily's school, she excused herself to answer. Ms. Morgan? This is Nurse Patel from Westside Elementary. Lily took a fall during recess and we think she may have broken her arm. We need you to come right away. Heart racing, Ellie rushed to the school, only to find James already in the nurse's office, sitting beside a tearful Lily whose arm was carefully immobilized in a makeshift sling. What are you doing here? Ellie asked, momentarily thrown by his presence. The school called me, James explained. I'm on Lily's emergency contact list. Ellie frowned in confusion. She hadn't added him to the list. I put him on there, Lily admitted through her tears. When Ms. Rodriguez sent home the update forms last month. I put his number from my phone. James had given Lily a simple phone for emergencies, with his number programmed in. Ellie felt a flash of anger, at the school for not verifying the change with her, at James for not mentioning it,